I'm Lisa.
And this is the Paid Media Playbook, where we talk to marketing professionals about their challenges, tactics, and triumphs.
Join us here at Double Z Media for weekly conversations about media strategies for marketing leaders.
And we would like to welcome Erin Moyer from Laird Norton Wetherby.
Thank you for having me on this.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you here. We love having marketing directors on because that's who our audience is. And so you obviously have some little nuggets that everybody can relate to, I'm sure.
I hope so.
So let's get into it a little. Erin, how did you get into marketing?
Well, interestingly enough, I started off in internal communications. Well, I started off in many other pathways, but my first communications job was in internal communications at Washington Mutual. And when you are communicating to 65,000 employees, it really is marketing in a lot of ways. And so that was my entree into this field. And through being in financial communications, I knew someone who asked me if I had an interest in shifting over to a firm that really was mostly doing client communications and starting to dabble in PR. And I don't know how, but I've been here for 17 years. And during that time, we've really expanded. And so now I do run all internal and external communications for the firm.
Wow. And you are all over the nation now.
That is correct. We have 6 offices throughout the nation. That's come about through both organic opening of offices and through recent mergers that we've had.
Well, it sounds like you're doing things right.
We're growing, so I'm hoping that we're helping that in some ways. Yes.
That's awesome. So let's talk about your ideal customer.
Our real specialty is helping families with multi-generational wealth. And so that can look like a lot of things, but really you would likely have at least 10 million in investable assets to begin working with us. And what we can do for you is work out all of the, investing is kind of the baseline of what we do, but really our strength is in doing all of the estate and financial planning and cash flow work, and then thinking about generational work, setting up trusts for children, grandchildren, and philanthropy into the community. And so it is how to steward all of your resources when you have likely more than enough for your lifetime.
Yeah, you want to invest that, right? Okay, so if you had a $10 million media budget or advertising budget, what would you do?
Well, it's interesting. I come from an industry that is often suspect of paid media, and at the same time wants brand recognition in a very busy marketplace with organizations that, whether we consider them are competitors like a large bank's private wealth firm, the public does, even if we see ourselves as something different. And so, there's this tension between thinking you don't need to advertise, but needing brand recognition in a very crowded market who spends a lot of money. And so I think a place that is a comfort level for our folks at our firm who aren't used to thinking about marketing is in promoting content marketing. So, you can put a lot of effort into creating amazing content that really illustrates expertise, which is a huge part of how you build trust with potential clients. But if they don't know your name, they're not going to your website to find it. And so if I had, 10 million to put down there, I'd really love a sophisticated content marketing promotion plan to accompany the work we're doing in that thought leadership.
Yep, to ensure that this is being seen, because everybody's making great content, but measure how it's working too. Yeah,
exactly right. And I think that there are places where the right eyeballs would be that we could do some very strategic placements with.
Yeah.
Erin, you mentioned the priority of brand recognition and also that you recently went through a rebrand. What is your strategy to manage that?
Well, at the moment, we are developing kind of a long-range strategy. There's one thing to build a new brand, but you actually have to launch it as well. Otherwise, it's just a bit of a vanity play for yourselves. But what we're currently doing is a lot of earned media, work.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to get out and tell our story. And sometimes when you have recent mergers and a new brand, that can open some doors to be able to tell that story. And then we definitely do paid search, right? So on our current new name, our old names of the old companies, that sort of thing, so that people still continue to find us. And we are looking to build out a content marketing paid media plan. Actually, I don't have 10 million to spend on it, but it is where we're thinking of going to continue getting the name out there. We're also looking at doing maybe a speakers roadshow. And so also looking at how do we promote that to get the right audience. A lot of it is thinking about, could we have partners in different places that are great referral sources that can bring their audience to this roadshow? We're working all of that out. I'd love your advice.
Name an example of a partner.
A law firm, estate planning attorneys.
Got
it. We often get referrals from these centers of influences, and I would say CPAs, attorneys, are a great source for us. And so that could be a potential partnership where we look at one of these firms and have a panel discussion on a topic, including someone, and they're inviting people as well.
Absolutely. Maybe you should start a podcast.
We thought about that. I might have to pick your brain for how you are doing this technically, because it's very slick. I'm very impressed, by the way.
Oh, good. Well, thank you.
So you mentioned getting leads from referrals. Is that your main source at the moment? What marketing strategies do you use right now?
The main source of business for firms like ours are, first of all, client referrals. So the people that you work with are happy, they tell their friends. The second one is through those professional contacts like the CPAs and the attorneys and or philanthropic advisors. They often send our name to people. But all of that still needs bolstering, right? And so we do campaigns that are kind of educational campaign newsletters to our list of third party, if you will, referral sources. And we often are sending a newsletter or communications to our clients that, it's got a button at the bottom, share with a friend. We're putting articles in there that we hope they will pass along to family members or their contacts. Money is one of those things that people don't talk about that much. So we want to give them something that's easy to pass along, whether that's a webinar invite on a topic that they think would be of interest to a friend, but they're not going to bring the topic up on their own necessarily, but articles or invitations to events can be really helpful for opening that conversation of, this is who we work with as our wealth advisor. And, they're really good at this thing you're struggling with.
Yeah, I think about the amount of trust and that recognition. And I mean, obviously referrals are everything. Like my best clients are referrals.
It reminds me a little bit of the luxury car brand strategy around paid media, right? Most people aren't going to buy a Lexus because they saw a 30-second ad on TV.
Right.
But someone who bought a Lexus last week will feel really good about it after they see the ad, right? It's more about retention.
And retention is huge. I mean, our clients stay with us for decades and lifetimes often. We're a trust company as well as a registered investment advisor. So some of them are born clients and die clients. That's how long their trust lasts. So retention is a huge part of our business, and that feeling great about being our client. And that actually makes me think about a strategy we have used with paid media in the past, where we are highlighting partnerships with our community partners. So we might be doing a campaign that has our logo on it, but we're really showcasing our wonderful community organizations that we've partnered with. And, we get that brand halo of association with these wonderful organizations, and they're thrilled to have their names out there or promoted, whatever their particular mission is. It's put out into space. And I think that's a great way to make your existing clients feel really proud about being a client.
It's an incredible strategy, but how do you show ROI, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's super hard. I mean, that's one of the beauties of digital is I love how easy you can track digital, but not everything we've done, especially the community stuff, has been digital. And so ROI is really hard to prove. it is one thing that I think about, where when we ever do print campaigns or even radio campaigns, just trying to be in alignment with the business development department and ask, please try to collect any information about why they walk through the door, because you're maybe not the number one reason, but maybe they got that referral 6 months ago and then they heard something on NPR, if you will, and decided that, you know what, I've been meaning to do something. People hate doing anything with money. Moving your accounts is not an easy thing. So our sales cycle, I don't call it that really, but our sales cycle can be an 18-month process from the time someone even first contacts us to when they actually make the move. Often it's faster, because most of the time it's when there is a life transition that people are finally willing to go,
what the heck do I do now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I hate when that happens and $10 million falls in my lap, but
it's very stressful. You'd be surprised.
No, I bet.
I'd like to find out, but apparently I hear it's kind of stressful. You do feel a sense of responsibility with that, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, before we let you go, I do have one final question.
Okay.
If you could go back in time and talk to yourself at the beginning of your career, what's one piece of advice you would give?
I think I would tell myself to trust my instincts more. I think I have spent a lot of effort making sure I was proving a case beyond a shadow of a doubt, instead of experimenting, testing, and learning. It's okay if something doesn't work out. You can rule that out as an option moving forward. And I think there's a lot of time spent on building cases that could be quickly solved with a small bit of spend and test and move on if it doesn't work.
Agree. Trust your intuition too, right?
Trust your intuition. You've studied your own market a ton. And so what you think might work really might, and you don't have to, dump the entire budget into it. Just dabble and see what comes out of it. That sweet spot about spending enough to make sure you've truly tested it. That's not always easy, but if you do give it a decent shot, you often are not wasting those resources, even if it wasn't the exact right strategy.
I love it.
Well, this was amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being asked to participate. This was really fun.
Absolutely. Thanks, Erin.
Thanks for listening to the Paid Media Playbook. Want more content like this? Follow our agency, Double Z Media, on LinkedIn. You can find the link in the episode description.